Hell yes, dear listener. Thank you so much for joining in for the 7th issue of Bots, Thoughts, and Drops. This is Russ on a solo mission till I hit up with Luke for Friday Night Comfy Post. This show is in the business of covering the topics we don't want to cover on HSP, which is our flagship show. Bottom of the stack, or bots. It's like this, dear listener. You got a deep stack of articles that you want to cover, right? The top of the stack gets the priority. The bottom of the stack, that's the business of this show right here. This content is nonetheless very important. Bots is intended to give structure, to give context, to peer through the leftist hysteria with a pre-selected lens, to blaze the trail in advance of HSP so we can select the very best trail for our ride. So with no further ado, we're going to get right into it right now, but let me tell you how to find us first. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at Zero Gravity Med. Send us email at feedback@zero-gravity-media.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and TuneIn, all three under Zero Gravity Media. Find us on YouTube. Look for Zero Gravity Media and our Zero G logo. Now, before we get into it, we got a couple of announcements this week. First of all, first and foremost, dear listener, I'm terribly sorry about missing last week. I was just so busy with work. I said it on HSP. I simply could not get to Bots on Thursday night. I got home from work at about 10:30 that night. I was rip-roaring and ready to go all day, and then my energy just faded at the end of the night, and I simply couldn't do it. My apologies. Next announcement. I am previously booked for next Saturday night, which will be HSP number 38. So Luke and I are going to have to work something out for number 38. I don't know if I'll have a guest fill in my stead, or maybe Luke and I will record on Sunday or something like that. In any case, dear listener, the trail goes on forever. The party never ends. The HSP boys are here for you, and we're going to work it out. Now, furthermore, speaking of HSP, some lucky pimp may have scored some tickets for the Dallas Stars game number 6 on Sunday. Maybe, maybe not. I can neither confirm nor deny, but HSP might be a little bit late. I'm going to work it out for you, dear listener. I hereby commit and promise. Now, okay, so it's like, all right, here's how it works. All right, just a little bit of inside baseball about HSP, okay? Luke and I get on the horn on Friday night. We talk about what we're going to talk about and sometimes throw that show out as Friday Night Comfy Post. Saturday, we get up and refine it a little bit more. Then we hit the red button and record it. Then we hit the black button and stop. Luke mixes down his audio and he sends it to me, and I edit and mix the show. And it's about a 2 to 2.5 to 1 ratio, right? Like, for example, if it's a 3-hour show, it takes me about 6 hours to edit and mix the show. Sometimes we have some technical problems. Sometimes we just want to cut some stuff out, like a grab bag special doesn't work, right? So it takes some time, and I give it a very thorough once-over, right? Then I send that file. I mix it down, send that file back to Luke, and Luke cuts out more things, like to shorten the show, things he doesn't want in there, right? So it's a back-and-forth process. And after that editing is done, Luke does everything else, which is a lot of work, dear listener. I'm not even kidding. Luke does so much. But I am happy to, and Luke, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it so much, and I have no idea how you do what you do. But I do have an announcement which Luke and I neglected to confess on HSP number 36. Luke's lovely wife, Jessica, has taken over marketing efforts for Zero Gravity Media and Hardly Strictly Politics. This is to free up some bandwidth for Luke, who actually works harder on this show than I do. You know, and Jessica also used to do this type of thing in her previous career. So, Jessica, hat tip, thank you so much. Welcome to this trail, permanent member. We're going to have you on the show sometime just to say thank you, if nothing else. So anyways, we're going to do a marketing blast here pretty soon, dear listener, and all of that will be entirely thanks to Jessica. All right, so y'all remember how on HSP we used to talk about bots, the things that we were not going to talk about, okay? Well, this time, since we're bots right now, I'm going to talk about top of the stack. This is the stuff we're not going to talk about in this show right here. Number 1, the story of the week so far, without doubt, is William Barr's testimony to the House or to the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday. Oh my God, what a barn burner. I had it playing in the background while I worked yesterday. It was something else. And I really hope that Luke wants to talk about this tomorrow. Hell, if Luke doesn't want to talk about this tomorrow, he's going to have to talk about this because I got some things that I've simply got to ask him. I've got to get his take about what's going on with all this. Luke tends to be able to reduce things down much easier than I can, and I can't wait to ask him about this stuff. Nonetheless, I know him pretty well, and I think he's probably going to want to talk about this on HSP number 37 when we roll on Saturday. So anyway, it is the story of the week so far. It is explosive in every which way because of this, and I don't want to get too much into it. We'll save it for HSP. But what is going on right now is the left is completely freaking out every which way. They are on the ropes right now. There is some serious business about to drop. And Barr obviated that fact in his testimony to the Senate. And then after he obviated that fact, he stood up the House Judiciary Committee today, as probably all of you have learned, and the left mocked him. These are members of Congress bringing in buckets of Kentucky Fried Chicken, Cohen from Tennessee, right? Eating Kentucky Fried Chicken, putting up a porcelain chicken or rubber chicken or whatever it was, trying to mock the AG as a chicken for not coming to the House to testify. The reason that Barr didn't do this, all right, I'm going to stop right there. Okay, Luke and I are going to talk about this on HSP. I'm sure he wants to talk about it. There's another article I really want to bring up in HSP, and it is entitled Checkmate. And it published yesterday. It came out on a publication called Human Events, which is now edited by one Raheem Kassan, used to be a Breitbart writer. He left Breitbart in about May or June of 2018 and left to go become editor-in-chief of Human Events. It is an older publication. It's been around since the 30s, maybe the 40s, something like that. It's been around forever. But this piece called Checkmate that dropped today, absolutely magnifique. And I hope that we get to talk about it on HSP. I'm sure we will. And, you know, like I said, I've got a sneaking suspicion that Luke is interested in this topic as well. Other stuff we're not going to talk about. We're not going to talk about Biden. We're not going to talk about Biden in Ukraine. We're not going to talk about Biden in China. We're not going to talk about creepy Uncle Biden sniffing hair and touching women's shoulders and all this kind of weird stuff. This story with Biden is on simmer for the moment, particularly Biden in Ukraine. The word getting round, dear listener, believe this. It is going to come to a point where the left has no choice but to talk about this to maintain some simulacrum of intellectual honesty and honest reporting. They are going to have to talk about this at some point in time, and that day cometh for the mainstream media. So the story is on simmer, but rumors spreading round in that Texas town. All right, we're also not going to talk about Ilhan Omar or AOC, the gift that keeps on giving. And we're also not going to talk about the yellow vest. And damn, dear listener, there is some business going on with the yellow vest this week. Hopefully we get to it in HSP, but like, man, crazy stuff is going on. All right. So we're getting into the first bottom of the stack topic, the first topic proper. And I'm calling it Spy Notes now, right? This isn't SpyGate anymore. SpyGate is debunked. SpyGate is over. SpyGate was bullshit from the very beginning. We have always said it is so, and it is now proven so. And Attorney General Barr did a pretty good job of representing that fact before the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday, despite excoriation from the left, right? But there is some business dropping this week about SpyGate, and I kind of want to talk about a couple things to that effect right now. First thing I'm going to quote from is it's a Daily Caller piece about a BuzzFeed writer. He gave a speech on Saturday at Berkeley, I believe. This piece dropped on Tuesday the 30th. I'm going to take it from the lead. It goes thus. The Steele dossier is a, quote, fucked up document, one of BuzzFeed's top reporters said at a journalism symposium Saturday. Anthony Cormier defended BuzzFeed's decision to publish the dossier while admitting that more needs to be known about the origins of the salacious document. Yeah, you think so? Quote, that fucked up document, Cormier said of the dossier at the event, held Saturday at the University of California, Berkeley. The Washington Times first flagged Cormier's remarks. Quote, I'm going to say that. It was a fucked up document. I think we need to know more about where it came from, why it is, what it means, said Cormier, a Pulitzer Prize winner. Okay, listen, bro. Really? You think it's effed up? Really? Do you? You're finally coming around to that conclusion? BuzzFeed writer? He was not the one that broke the story. Nonetheless, he's sitting here defending BuzzFeed in this paragraph right here, which is paragraph number 5, quote, "But I still defend the right and decision to publish it because I believe in radical transparency. And if the U.S. government is passing that kind of intel to the president and president-elect, I think you guys deserve to know." Dude, give up your Pulitzer Prize. Give it to John Solomon right now. You are entirely unworthy of your Pulitzer. Now, there's a problem with this right here, most simply, and it is this, dear listener, radical transparency indeed. That document was an entire prefabricated, Hillary Clinton bought and paid for, to quote Sean Hannity, lie. It was a lie. That is absolute libel for BuzzFeed to have published that dossier. They did not verify it. They did not fact check it like we get relentlessly fact checked right and left by everybody. They did nothing with it but, oh, yes, NPC, Orange Man bad, must publish. That's what they did with it. It was a lie. And we now know this to be an absolute fact. Robert Mueller has now agreed to that fact twice to Bill Barr that it was a lie. Okay? Now, I don't want to touch that subject too much. That's HSP top of the stack material right there. We're going to get into it on Saturday. But there is a serious problem with publishing a lie, all intentions of radical transparency aside. Come on. Now, let me double down on this a little bit more. All right. So Anthony Cormier, you so believe in radical transparency, right? All right. Well, then you must believe in what exactly Julian Assange is doing right now. If you so believe in radical transparency, publishing John Podesta's emails, publishing the DNC emails. If you so believe in, quote, and I quote you, sir, radical transparency, then Julian Assange must be freed by your own rhetoric, right? That is radical transparency. And also, if I may obviate, once again, Julian Assange is 100 for 100. He has never made a mistake. He has never told a lie. Nonetheless, if not for double standards, the left would have no standards at all. No, of course BuzzFeed doesn't believe in Julian Assange. They don't believe in his work. They repudiate it, right? And so does everybody at this moment. That's kind of another thing, really, I should have added into the topics that I want to talk on HSP about is Julian Assange. There's been a little bit of business this week. Maybe we'll get into that. Maybe we'll not. Maybe it'll be bottom of the stack for HSP. I actually maybe could spitball it here at the end of the show, but we're not going to get into it right now. Nonetheless, the hypocrisy of this son of a bitch, Anthony Cormier, radical transparency. Indeed, sir. Indeed. All right, there was a piece dropped on the Hill last night by none other, you know it, John Solomon, dropped last night at about 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That's about 6 o'clock East Coast time. It was something else. It was something else, all right? I'm going to take it from the third paragraph. Here it is. It goes thus. Orr has admitted to Congress that during the 2016 presidential election, she worked for Fusion GPS, the firm hired by Clinton and Democratic National Committee to perform political opposition research on a project specifically trying to connect Donald Trump and his campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, to Russian organized crime. Now, 339 pages of emails from her private account to Department of Justice email accounts have been released under a Freedom of Information Act request by the conservative legal group Judicial Watch. Way to go, Tom Fitton. Judicial Watch doing the work, dear listener. Judicial Watch doing the work the DOJ simply won't do until William Barr got in the House. And now the DOJ is policing itself. Back to the article, paragraph 5. It goes thus. They clearly show that Orr sent reams of open source intelligence to her husband, Associate Deputy Attorney General Bruce Orr, and on some occasions to at least 3 DOJ prosecutors, Lisa Holton, Ivana Nizic, and Joseph Wheatley. We're going to have to remember those names, dear listener. These are going to become very, so important going forward. The contents track corruption developments in Russia and Ukraine, including intelligence affecting Russian figures. She told Congress she had tried to connect to Trump or Manafort. Quote, "Hi, honey. If you ever get a moment, you might find the penultimate article interesting, especially the summary in the final paragraph." Nellie Ohr emailed her husband on July 6, 2016, in one typical communication. The article and paragraph she flagged suggested that Trump was a Putin stooge. Quote, "If Putin wanted to concoct the ideal candidate to service his purposes, his laboratory creation would look like Donald Trump." Nellie Ohr bolded that key sentence for apparent emphasis. Such overt political content flowing into email accounts of a DOJ charged with the nonpartisan mission of prosecuting crimes is jarring enough. It raises additional questions about potential conflicts of interest when it is being injected by a spouse working as a Democratic contractor trying to defeat Trump, and she is forwarding her own research to his department and co-workers. For instance, the same July 6, 2016 email that forwarded the anti-Trump screed also included research into one oligarch named Rinat Akhmetov, a Ukrainian that Nellie Ohr told Congress she was researching for fusion for possible ties to Trump. Now, ain't this fascinating, right? Ukraine, once again, possible ties to Trump. They're trying to fabricate evidence of Russia colluding with a Ukrainian oligarch, except for the fact that we know that one Joe Biden, one Barack Hussein Obama, and one Hillary Clinton, and one Hunter Biden were colluding directly with the Ukrainian government itself. Ain't that rich? Ain't that rich? Refer to this premise that Luke and I always throw out on HSP. It goes thus: whatever the left is accusing you of is exactly what they are doing. Quote, "Rinat Akhmetov is someone who also was associated with Manafort. Now, he's Ukrainian, and right now I can't remember whether people explicitly, pointed to particular organized crime activity that he's suspected of," she testified. Other emails that Nellie Ohr forwarded to her husband and the other DOJ officials contain links to open source information, such as news articles and academic research that would later surface as evidence of alleged collusion between Trump and Russia. They included that, number one, then Russian ambassador in Washington, Sergei Kislyak, attended on April 16, 2016, foreign policy speech by Trump. Former Attorney General Jeff Sessions eventually was forced to recuse himself from the Russia investigation as Attorney General, in part because he met Kislyak in that speech. True story. Number two, then Trump campaign advisor Carter Page gave a July 2016 speech in Moscow. Nellie Ohr bolded a passage in the article noting Page's company, quote, "continues to work with Russian investments," and included someone tied to the Russian energy giant Gazprom. All right, by the way, I do have a correction. In HSP number 36, I said Gazprom was the Ukrainian company. My bad. It was the Russian company. This stuff is so arcane, so difficult to keep up with. All these Ukrainians and all these Russians and all this collusion. My gosh, dear listener, how are we even a country anymore? Kidding. I'm going to skip down the article about halfway. It goes thus. For instance, just 40 days after the anti-Trump screed was emailed, both Ohrs met in Washington with British intelligence operative Christopher Steele. Nellie Ohr testified that she had known Steele from past encounters and learned that July 31st, 2016 meeting at the Mayflower Hotel that Steele, like herself, was working for Fusion GPS on Trump-Russia research. She said that she had learned that Steele had concerns that he hoped the DOJ and or FBI would investigate with help from her husband. Proof of the information laundering operation. And by the way, don't buy this bullshit from Nellie Ohr for a minute. They've been working together as CIA contractors since 2015. All right. We've already litigated that here in these hallowed halls. We're not going to do it once again. Nonetheless, refer to Bots, Thoughts, and Drops number 4, Bots, Thoughts, and Drops number 5, HSP number 31. And we talk about it right there, spell it out in clear detail. I go on with the article. It goes thus. The next day, Bruce Ohr used his official DOJ position to go to then Deputy FBI Director none other than Andrew McCabe with Steele's allegations, and the Bureau opened its first investigation into Russia collusion. When asked by House lawyers during her deposition last year, Nellie Orr testified that she did not discuss her Fusion GPS research before fall 2016 with anyone except possibly her husband, which she refused to answer, citing marital privilege and steal at the hotel meeting. Damn. Bruce Orr testified that his wife gave him a thumb drive of research to provide to the FBI. The FBI during the 2016 election. Quote, at any point prior to fall of 2016, did you discuss your research on organized crime and Donald Trump with individuals outside of Fusion GPS, outside of this Mayflower breakfast meeting? Nellie Orr was asked during her congressional testimony last fall. No, she testified. Oh, big mistake. Oh. But the DOJ emails show that Nellie Orr frequently forwarded open source research on Russia organized crime figures, Trump, Manafort, and developments in Ukraine with implications for the Trump campaign. Mr. Solomon, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for doing the work. I love this trickle, this slow little bit of information that's coming out because it gives the opportunity for the left to put their foot in their mouth like they did with William Barr in Senate testimony yesterday. And then this story drops after the fact that we find out now. All right, I'm going to get to that. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Sorry about this. We find out that Nellie Orr was literally working with DOJ attorneys, sending them information for the explicit purpose of going after the then Trump campaign. Unbelievable. Now, I'm going to say it right now. I said it in HSP number 36. Let me back up a little bit. Let's not do this outrage porn thing, okay? Let's not get outraged about it, right? Let's just stick with the facts, all right? This is another fact that just came in right now. This is a good fact. Nellie Orr was colluding with the DOJ. She was laundering information to the DOJ, not just through her husband, but through those three attorneys and investigators that I just named previously, okay? Let's take that and stick it right here on the stack. All right, let's don't get mad about it. Let's don't get upset. Let's don't get outraged. Let's just remember the fact that this investigation started long before SpyGate. Long before SpyGate. That is the premise that we stick to, and this is more evidence to that effect. Hi, honey. Just thought you might want to know if you have time to read it. Trump is the rest of the dudes. I can prove it, really. My Lord, man. Well, turns out that rumors started spreading around about like Wednesday this past week that there was some business going on with Mark Meadows. Chuck Ross got the drop on this in the Daily Caller, and he always has such God-tier bullet points. I'm going to just read the bullet points, not the article itself. They go thus. Number 1. House Republicans plan to submit criminal referrals against Fusion GPS associates, North Carolina Representative Mark Meadows said on Tuesday. Number 2, speaking at an event hosted by none other than the Washington Post, Meadows said that he has, quote, great concerns with how the Fusion-funded Steele dossier was used in the investigation of President Donald Trump. Yeah, we've all got concerns about that. Bullet point number 3. Meadows did not identify the targets of the referrals, but Republicans have accused Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson of making false statements during his testimony before the House Intelligence Committee in November 2017. That was actually on Tuesday. It wasn't Wednesday. It was Tuesday. All right? So then this starts ramping up, right? Reading a Zero Hedge piece from the Lead, it goes thus. The title of the piece is Nellie Orr criminal referral being, quote, finalized, according to Jim Jordan. Here it goes from the Lead. Congressional Republicans are, quote, working to finalize a criminal referral of Russiagate linchpin Nellie Orr, the wife of Justice Department's number 4, Bruce Orr. Nellie was hired by opposition research firm Fusion GPS, where she conducted, in bold, extensive opposition research on Trump family members and campaign aides, which she passed along to Bruce Orr on a memory stick. This is already confessed in congressional testimony. Now, let's refer back 2 steps back to what John Solomon just broke last night. It wasn't just this memory stick that she gave to her husband on the pillow, right? And the most God-tier comment in this Zero Hedge article, like, oh, there was a backdoor channel between Fusion GPS and the FBI. Somebody said in the comments, thank God there wasn't a front door channel. Oh, man. Sorry. Sometimes it's just too funny. It wasn't just this memory stick, right? It wasn't just the pillow talk between Bruce and Nellie Orr. She was literally emailing research to attorneys and investigators in the DOJ, right? This is rampant. This is not one incident contained and symbolized within one memory stick. Nuh-uh. No. This has been going on forever, every which way. Oh, goodness. Well, it drops today. My goodness. I'm taking a Daily Caller piece from the lead. It goes thus. North Carolina Representative Mark Meadows referred, in the past tense, referred Nellie Orr, a former Fusion GPS contractor, to the Justice Department for criminal investigation on Wednesday. In a letter to Attorney General William Barr, first reported by The Hill, Meadows alleged that Orr made false statements to Congress on October 19th about contacts she had with Justice Department officials regarding ongoing investigations, as well as about her research into alleged Russian organized crime figures. Yeah, she lied. You know how she lied? She said, when they said, yo, okay, outside of this Mayflower Hotel meeting with Christopher Steele and your husband, have you talked to anybody else at the FBI or the DOJ about any of this business about SpyGate? No. Yeah. Well, except that now John Solomon told us that she has been emailing them. And Mark Meadows just did the business of referring her criminally to William Barr. Back to the article. This is important right here. All right, this is paragraph 4. It goes thus. Meadows is not accusing Orr of lying about her work with Fusion or her contacts with Steele. Instead, the Republican pointed to Orr's claim in her interview that she, quote, would not have any knowledge of what was going on in an ongoing investigation at the Justice Department, and that she did not have any knowledge at the Department of Justice, I butchered that, sorry about that, and that she did not have, quote, any knowledge of the Department of Justice's investigations on Russia, end quote. Or also denied that she provided information from her research into Russian organized crime figures and Donald Trump to anyone outside of Fusion GPS, her husband, or Steele, who is a former MI6 officer. True story. Quote, however, documents reviewed by our committees raised concerns Ms. Orr not only had knowledge of an ongoing investigation, but that she shared information and research on Russian organized crime to assist DOJ, in direct contradiction with her testimony. Well done, Mr. Meadows. I pause for effect right here. I got commented in a debate one time I had in high school, you need to pause for effect. So let me pause for effect right here. And maybe take a sip of whiskey at the same time. You see what just happened right here? The I's got dotted. The T's got crossed. This was simmering, building, over and over and over again this week. Little hints, little drops, drip, drop, tick tock, tick tock. And then finally, today, it breaks. Nellie Orr is a criminal. John Solomon broke it all last night. Do you understand what's going on here? Okay? Right? This is not about just SpyGate now. This is about Nellie Orr lying to Congress about, no, I did not have any contacts with anybody except my husband and Christopher Steele. We now know that this is abjectly false. Okay? Now, I don't want to get into it too much, but the Democrats are accusing William Barr of lying to Congress. That's what Nancy Pelosi said yesterday. He lied to Congress. He lied to Congress. Okay? Yeah, no, not so much. William Barr told the truth to Congress, 100%, right? I mean, the questions were kind of effed up and unintelligible, but, you know, what's new for a Democrat, right? He probably didn't answer whatever it was this shitlib was trying to ask him, okay? But what this is right here is Nellie Orr literally lying to Congress in order to hide the scope of an investigation that is going on into Donald Trump. That is a lie. That is a pre-concocted lie, a bold-faced lie, right? That is interfering with an investigation kind of lie. And she's going to go downtown for this. Dear listener, believe that. And we are so... Listen, I'm so sorry to still be talking about SpyGate, but like the reason we have to talk about it is that the left won't let it go. We were ready to let it go with, okay, no collusion, no obstruction. Let's just let it go. Let's move on and let's get some business done in Congress for the American people, right? Let's get some more tax cuts. Let's build the wall. Let's do the infrastructure project. Let's do all this stuff. But the left won't let it go. So we're going to hold their feet to the fire. You heard me, dear listener? We hold them here. They're going to keep doing bullshit like this, right? We call them out on their bullshit. If William Barr lied, which he did not, well, Nellie Orr damn show lied. Damn show lied. And you know something else I might say? I saw the expression on William Barr's face. He's a very patient man. I'm going to assume probably a plus 200 IQ man. Like, he's really smart. And once again, William Barr is not like a Trump guy, right? He and Robert Mueller are very best friends. Their children grew up together. They go to church together, right? And even Robert Mueller, we know now, let me drop that. Let me save that for HSP. Okay. All right. We won't go there, right? But like, one could call William Barr a member of the deep state. He was Attorney General under George H.W. Bush, right? He was Attorney General from, I think, 91 to 93, something like that. Oh, no, that's not right. 90 to 92? Shoot, I don't know. But he was a young lad back then, but he was so smart that he became Attorney General, right? And he is not exactly in Trump's camp at all, right? He is just simply so disturbed about the fact that the government intelligence agencies were weaponized under Obama to go after the Trump campaign, and the man actually has integrity, right? I would bet, let me go out on a limb here. I would bet that he probably voted for Hillary in the election. Nonetheless, he has such integrity that he's not Donald Trump's personal attorney or any of this kind of stuff, right? He has so much integrity, I think, based on what I see so far, and I truly see this, that he wants to stop this corruption in all levels of government. So like, he's deep state, he's a made man, right? But he's a made man with a conscience. You understand what I'm saying? He would be the type in the mob that would turn on the mob. And that's a bad comparison. So strike that from the record. I don't really mean it that way. Nonetheless, my point is this. Man, it was kind of like what I was saying during the Kavanaugh hearings, which turned out to be false, if I may say, that like the left got all over Kavanaugh so hardcore and he got so mad about all of that kind of stuff that was happening to him. I was like, man, you just created a monster, leftist. He's going to get up there and he's going to rule, against Roe v. Wade. He's going to rule hardcore right because you pissed him off so bad. Well, that comment ended up to be false, because I would say Kavanaugh is about 50-50 right now. I neither trust nor distrust him, right? Unlike somebody like Clarence Thomas, who I trust unequivocally, Anthony Scalia, who I trusted unequivocally, right? Kavanaugh, not so much, right? Nonetheless, that same thing that happened to Kavanaugh, I believe I saw William Barr going through that mental hardness that happened to him in the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday. Is these leftists excoriated him, slandered him, right? Dragged his name through the mud, which means nothing means more to William Barr than his integrity and his name and his reputation. You could see him getting really kind of pissed off. So leftists, I'm going to double down on my previous Kavanaugh prediction in the form of William Barr. I think you don't know this can of worms you've opened right here. I think you have no idea. I mean, you know what? How about this? Nancy Pelosi is saying, William Barr lied before Congress. The House Judiciary Committee today mocks him for not showing up, calling him a chicken, literally, and all that kind of stuff, right? Say all kinds of things in impugning the character of the Attorney General. Tell you what, how about all y'all write a prosecutorial recommendation to the Attorney General right now? Bring it. How about what y'all did, what Mark Meadows did to Nellie Orr today? Well, it was actually yesterday, but we found out about it today. How about y'all do that about William Barr to William Barr? Check and mate. I dare you. I double dog dare you, right? And watch my prophecy become truth. All right, we're going to shift gears a little bit right here. We're going to talk about immigration, right? We've been talking about immigration since probably HSP number 3, something like that. It's a really horrible situation going on our border right now. One could credibly argue that the border is lost. There's no reason to refute that, right? So we're just going to zoom through this. I'm already getting a little bit long in show length right now. I'm at about 35 minutes, a little bit beyond that. So let's kind of try to shorten this up a little bit and get up out of here. All right, so we had a red pill drop on Monday. It says, I'm taking a Daily Caller piece once again. Daily Caller getting the love this week. They've been doing great work. The title is, ICE announces plan to stop, quote, fake families and child smuggling at the border. I'm going to take it from paragraph 1. It goes thus. ICE announced Monday that it is shifting resources to deal with the influx of fake families arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border. Quote, fake families are being formed to cross our border and avoid detention. ICE is working with Customs and Border Protection, Border Patrol, to stop individuals, networks, and organizations facilitating child smuggling and document fraud to illegally enter the U.S., ICE tweeted on Monday. The agency stated that it is moving experts to the border to investigate child smuggling, and it will be using science data to, quote, dismantle the child trafficking rings employed by human smugglers working in Central America and Mexico. The announcement came on the same day as a media appearance by the agency's acting director, which is McAleenan. Okay. Now, dear listener, I am starting to become thoroughly dissatisfied with McAleenan at this point in time. He is the temporary director of Homeland Security. He was called in to fill in for Kirstjen Nielsen until a permanent replacement was found. He's not getting the business done. Okay. And what is this that we just found out yesterday? What, like he's asking for another $4.8 billion for medical care for these illegals, for more hospital beds, for more shelter for these people? Wrong, right? There is one thing that we ask for $4.8 billion for right now, and that is to build the damn wall, okay? Build the wall, right? That's what our objective is right now. Build the damn wall, right? We're not trying to aid and abet these invaders into our country right now. And McAleenan doesn't seem to get the point. And I'm getting a little bit frustrated. I'm getting a little bit tired of this bullshit. We're going to get another 100,000 illegals into this country this April right here alone. Set your watch to it. You know what? Let me double down on that. It wouldn't surprise me if we find out in this May, that it was 150,000 in April, this past April. It wouldn't surprise me at all, right? Despite all the detentions, there is no detention. There is catch and release, right? You build this wall, you stop this problem entirely, right? Now, Luke and I have nuanced views on this, right? But we both agree upon the fact that this is the rule of law, okay? It's not just about defending your country's sovereignty. If you have no respect for the rule of law, including immigration law, and you don't enforce immigration law, you don't enforce drug laws, you don't enforce smuggling laws, you don't enforce any laws, well, that means law is dead. There becomes a two-tier justice system for the elites and the harder, stricter justice system for those of us down here. It is all about absolute respect for the rule of law, although I don't want these people here. They're screwing up our jobs. They're screwing up our economy. In some ways they contribute. In some ways they bilk us, right? The situation has to be a clean reset at this point, not to mention now we've got measles all over this country, typhus, hepatitis, chickenpox, spreading rampant everywhere, right? Remember that outfit, that militia, right? They whose chief got arrested by the FBI for illegally detaining, or actually he got arrested on a firearms charge, right? He didn't have permission to carry a firearm. That was the real charge that they took him downtown for, right? But like really it's about disrupting the militia, right? Which is a peaceful militia. They've not fired a round of ammunition yet, right? But I watched all those videos, and like these people that are coming across the border are horribly sick. Yes, it is a humanitarian crisis. You know how to solve it? Get them the hell out of here. That's how you solve it. Go back to your home country. We'll send you antibiotics to Honduras. How about that, right? We will treat you in Honduras if you get the F out of here, right? All right, I'm getting a little bit triggered, getting a little bit off the point right now. The point is this. I'm not very happy with the job McAleenan is doing right now. There is no other way forward. There is no other way forward than putting Chris Kobach in as the head of the Department of Homeland Security. That's it. That's it. He will get the job done. He's already obviated and explained his three-plank plan for how he would do it. All right. All right, let me de-trigger a little bit. Let's move on a little bit. All right, so that last story. Remember, they said that they were going to start deploying resources to break these fake families up on Monday. Well, on Wednesday, another Daily Caller piece. Daily Caller, once again, getting the love. Thank you so much for the work you guys do. Daily Caller quotes this article, Trump administration to begin DNA testing migrants to catch, quote, fraudulent families. So, yeah, they're not just deploying resources down there. They're going to start mouth swabbing these people. And it's a 90-minute well, I get ahead of myself. I take the article from the lead. It goes thus. The DHS will soon begin on-the-spot DNA testing of migrants apprehended at the southern border, officials said Wednesday. The pilot program, which is expected to start as soon as the coming week, will take place at 2 different locations on the U.S.-Mexico border and last for several days. The so-called rapid DNA tests consists of a cheek swab that can yield results within 90 minutes. The DNA results will be used to verify whether apprehended migrants are telling the truth when they claim to be part of a family unit. Finally, why have we not been doing this since 2016? Why have we not been doing this since Inauguration Day? But you know what? We'll take it. It's not as good as building the wall, right? But what is really interesting about these DNA results is that they can be stored in perpetuity. Remember what Kirstjen Nielsen obviated and explained to us, right? Like, oh my God, we just can't handle this problem because they're smuggling kids in across and they smuggle the kids back and then the kids come back in with another, quote, family unit and then the kid goes back and it's just these fake families and we just can't handle it, is what she said, okay? Remember that, right? Well, now we can test the child's DNA and store it in perpetuity. So we get an exact genetic match for a child that does not match that of the parents. Arrest that child and deport that child to their home country immediately, post haste. I'm very cold about this. This is the law. It's very simple. Boy, I got a black pilling story right here. It is from, where did I get this piece from? It's from Breitbart. And it dropped on Sunday this past week. It goes thus from the lead. Pope Francis is sending $500,000 to help migrants in Mexico who are trying to reach the United States, according to a report Saturday from Vatican News. Quote, Pope Francis has donated $500,000 to assist migrants in Mexico. The funds from the Peter Pence collections will be distributed among 27 projects promoted by 16 Mexican dioceses and religious congregations which requested assistance in continuing to provide food, lodging, and basic necessities to the migrants, the report declares. All right. Now, listen, Catholics, I'm not making fun of you right now, but your Pope is a communist, and he is aiding and abetting an invasion of this country. All right? I ask you, at this point in time, I know religion supersedes everything, but does your country mean anything to you? You need to do something about this Pope, right? You no longer bend the knee. In fact, there is a credible argument to be made that the Pope is not your Pope, right? He is a communist agitator, and something has to be done, right? He is in cahoots with none other than George Soros right now by funding this invasion of the United States. What are you going to do about it, Catholics? I call on you to take action, to do something. You can't all agree with this, right? I imagine many of you do, right? But we know that there is a massive smuggling operation getting these illegals into this country going through Catholic charities. And now it's not just kind of in the dark about what's going on. The Pope himself just reported that they are giving $500,000 to support these invaders. What are you going to do? It's incumbent upon you. I'm Protestant. I can't do anything about this. You are Catholic. This is your church. You can do something about it. Drastic reform is needed, most respectfully and humbly. Next article goes thus. Mexican government official says MS-13 infiltrated caravans heading for the U.S. Once again, the Daily Caller from the lead. Mexican authorities have found members of the violent gang MS-13 among migrant caravans headed toward the United States. Multiple Mexican media outlets quoted a high-ranking government official as saying, Enrique Cardenas de Avenado of the Ministry of Interior's Northeastern Regional Delegate said that authorities have deported some MS-13 gang members they detected in migrant caravans. Mexican outlets La Prensa, La Mañana, La Verdad de Tamaulipas reported over the weekend. Cardenas de Avenado told a Spanish-language outlets that he doesn't know how many MS-13 members are in the region. MS-13 members are, quote, in the minority among caravan members, but they, quote, do exist and, quote, seek to extend their networks, especially to the United States. One is too many. One is way too damn many, all right? They're a minority. Okay, yeah, I believe that, right? Yeah, they don't make up the majority. It's not an MS-13 caravan coming at our borders right now. Okay, yeah, I believe that, right? Again, the premise is this. One MS-13 member getting through these borders, through these caravans, is too many. This is a hostile gang. They rival gangs like the Triads right now, dear listener. I'm not even kidding. Like, this is a major international gang. They have outfits all over these United States. How did they do it? They got in through the United States through an open border. Now, that's not entirely true, to be fair. They did start in Los Angeles. They were El Salvadorans that started this gang, I don't know, approximately 15 years ago. But now they are in all nations around the world except for Muslim countries, pretty much. They operate everywhere with impunity, right? They're very clever, and now they're exploiting this border and the caravans, this open, collapsed, wide open border via the caravans to get into this country, right? So let me double down on that last article about the Pope. The Pope is subsidizing MS-13 to invade this country. That's what it means. The Pope sent $500,000 in order to feed these MS-13 cartel members that are invading this country via the caravans. What are you going to do, Catholics? Respectfully, something has to be done. All right, this is another story that broke about 2 days ago. FBI is investigating Antifa for plotting to buy guns from cartel for, quote, armed rebellion. From the lead, it goes thus. The FBI is investigating Antifa activists for an alleged plot to buy guns from a Mexican cartel in order to, quote, stage an armed rebellion at the southern border, according to an unclassified document obtained by the Chicago Tribune. The FBI document from December of 2018, that's 5 months ago right there, 5 months ago, warns of militant Antifa activists planning to, quote, disrupt security operations at the U.S.-Mexico border. What are you going to do? What this means is that Antifa is planning to go into Mexico, buy guns from a cartel, and start shooting up Border Patrol members. That's what it means right there. The group allegedly planned to buy guns from a Mexican cartel associate known as Cobra Commander. Yeah, Cobra Commander. Okay. In order to, quote, stage an armed rebellion at the border. The source who provided it to the San Diego Tribune asked the outlet not to publish the 6-page document because the investigation is ongoing, and the outlet cited 2 additional law enforcement officials who confirmed the news. The FBI has warned dozens of law enforcement agencies in both Mexico and the United States of the alleged plot. 2 of the men named in the report told the San Diego Tribune the allegations are absurd. It does not make any sense that someone from the United States would purchase gun in Mexico. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, this is Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander. I quoted him correctly. The Hondurans only didn't bring money to buy guns. Doesn't make any sense. In fact, it's extremely absurd to say the Hondurans want to attack the United States border. Yeah, how absurd is it? Really? Right? Really? This is an abject, obvious invasion, right? It makes perfect sense to me that they would buy some guns at the border and try to attack. And it makes perfect sense to me that Antifa would go down there and aid them and fight with them against our own border patrol. Right? Right. We declared the Iranian army a terrorist organization. There are rumblings right now that Trump is fixing to declare the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization, which is nothing but white pilling. Do it, Mr. President. Do it. Right? Why Antifa has not been considered or been deemed a terrorist organization by our government yet is beyond me. Okay. I've heard before that it is. So I looked into it and I can't really find any documentation that says, quote, Antifa is a terrorist organization. They blew it up in Portland again yesterday. Their hotbed, like they always do, right? They attack American citizens. Now we have them involved in a plot since December of 2018, 5 months ago, to attack our own law enforcement with guns, to shoot at them. Can somebody please send me some feedback and explain to me how it is that Antifa has not been declared a terrorist organization? My God, man. All right. Oh, man. You know what? Oh, I missed this last article. It was in Spy Notes, and I mistakenly put it in Immigration. Dang. Okay. All right, so what do we do about this? I mean, I want to keep the flow going, but I do have to backtrack just a little bit because I misclassified an article in my stack. I am so horribly sorry about this, dear listener. There was one last thing that I had to say about Spy Notes, right? Because it's no longer SpyGate, it is now Spy Notes, right? That is this. It's a Zero Hedge piece. It broke today. It goes thus. It's actually a quote of a New York Times piece. There was spying. New York Times admits Obama administration used, quote, honeypot to spy against Trump campaign in 2016. A mysterious Turkish woman who, quote, assisted FBI spy Stephen Halper in London operation targeting Trump campaign aide George Papadopoulos has been revealed as yet another FBI operative sent to spy on the Trump campaign during the 2016 election. The woman who went by the name Azra Turk. Now let's just stop here and laugh about this for a woman, okay? Okay. A Turkish woman named Azra Turk. Who's really an FBI agent sent to go hit George Papadopoulos in London. Okay, listen, FBI, you know what? Y'all F this one up, all right? The first thing I'm going to be thinking is, Turkish, last name Turk, does not make sense. Not sure if serious. The woman who went by the name Azra Turk repeatedly flirted with Papadopoulos during their encounters, as well as in email exchanges, according to an October 2018 Daily Caller report confirmed today by the Times. Turk posed as Halper's assistant, according to the report. While in London 2016, Ms. Turk exchanged emails with Mr. Papadopoulos saying meeting him had been the highlight of my trip, according to messages provided by Mr. Papadopoulos. I'm excited about what the future holds for us, smiley face, she wrote to him. Oh, my God. All right, first of all, yeah, this was an FBI operation, right? The New York Times reported it literally as thus, but they tried to spin it in terms of that narrative that I reported in Thoughts and Drops number 6 about what they're going to do is like the deep state is going to be like, we're just trying to look out for our country. We're just trying to spy on Trump because we didn't know that he wasn't a Russian operative at that point in time. We're just trying to look out for our country. You know what I mean? That's the narrative they're going to cling to. So let's stay unoutraged. Let's stay white-pilled, and let's stick with the facts. Okay. I want to read a couple tweets from George Papadopoulos, and it goes thus. It dropped today. I agree with everything in this superb article except, quote, Azra Turk clearly was not FBI. She was CIA and affiliated with the Turkish intel. She could hardly speak English and was tasked to meet me about my work in the energy sector offshore Israel/Cyprus, which Turkey was competing with. Next tweet. I will make the job easy for America's reporters. The U.S., Turkish, Australian, UK intel agencies who targeted me knew I had no Russia contacts. They were after my work on the East Mediterranean pipeline that they all wanted to stop. Unfortunately for them, the project was implemented in 2017. Okay, yeah, Mr. Papadopoulos, not so much. I don't think that they were after your work about the East Mediterranean pipeline, to be fair. I think that they were trying to simply get a FISA warrant to spy on you so that they could then spy on every other member of the Trump campaign via the 2-hop rule, as Dan Bongino calls it. Okay? I think you're kind of missing the point on this one. That is a serious allegation that she is CIA, and I believe it because, first of all, what in the hell is FBI, a domestic law enforcement agency, doing running a spy at George Papadopoulos in London? I believe George Papadopoulos is right. She was CIA, right? It is CIA who spies in foreign territories. FBI spies in domestic territories. CIA is an intelligence gathering operation, right? Therefore, they operate exclusively on foreign soil because they are not allowed to spy on U.S. citizens. FBI is neither allowed to spy on U.S. citizens like they did to Donald Trump. They are a law enforcement agency. That's why they only operate domestically. You see the problem here. They sent Azra Turk, the Turkish woman, after George Papadopoulos in London, right? This is a clear breach of scope. Now, let me back up and apologize one more again. I know that we talked about spy notes in the beginning, but that was the bombshell of spy notes that dropped today. I unfortunately put it in the immigration stack. Here, let me fix this right now. Let me get this back in the spy note stack. My apologies to skip back and forth, dear listener, but that stuff is very important. And you know what? It's bots. It's bots anyway. All right. So we got 4 last topics that I'm going to hit and quit, and we're going to get up out of here. We're going to make it a relatively short week. What's my running time right now? Dang, I'm hitting about an hour right now, so let's make it quick. What did I tell you? In Bots, Thoughts, and Drops number 6, what did I say? I said, nobody else said it besides this pimp right here. Rod Rosenstein's going to be gone any minute, and well, sure enough, he submitted his resignation on Monday, April 29th. I'm grateful to you for the opportunity to serve, for the courtesy and humor you often display in our personal conversations, and for the goals you set in your inaugural address: patriotism, unity, safety, education, and prosperity. Rod Rosenstein had the temerity to write that in his resignation letter to President Donald Trump after he set him up in SpyGate. He started the whole Robert Mueller probe going, right? Thank God William Barr was called in there, shut that whole thing down, and actually had Rod Rosenstein behind him admitting that, oh yeah, you know what, there was no collusion. I should not have started that investigation in the first place. You son of a bitch. I swear to God, man. All right. Let me not get triggered here. Let's stick with the facts. All right. It's simply this. I'm tired of all these theories going around in the right-wing commentary about Rod Rosenstein is really a good guy. He's a white hat. No, he's scum. He went after the president. He knew exactly what he was doing for the very beginning, and he writes this smarmy resignation letter to the president. Please, man, get your ass out of here and don't let the door hit you. Donald Trump urges NRA to stop internal fighting. Now, this piece dropped on Monday. I'm going to take this piece from the lead. It's a Breitbart piece. It goes thus. President Donald Trump weighed in on the internal dispute in the National Rifle Association on Monday, urging the organization to get back to the political fight for gun rights. Quote, "It must get its act together quickly, stop the internal fighting, and get back to greatness fast," Trump wrote on Twitter. NRA CEO Wayne LaPierre, y'all remember him. He gave that speech about socialism last year at the NRA convention, right? All right, back to the article. Wayne LaPierre successfully fought off an attempt by the NRA president and board chairman, none other than Colonel Oliver North, to oust him from the organization, prompting North to step down. Details of the internal power struggle leaked as the organization held its annual conference in Indianapolis last week. Trump noted the NRA's ongoing legal fight in New York, suggesting it should leave the state altogether. Okay, all right. We're not going to go on from there, all right? But listen, dear listener, Wayne LaPierre is the real deal. He's the real business, right? He was supplanted by Oliver North. There was a coup going on by Oliver North within the NRA, right? Oliver North was trying to get Wayne LaPierre banned from the NRA, right? Oliver North is deep state. And I like and dislike him, right? But I know definitely that he is deep state. And he was trying to depose Wayne LaPierre. That's what he was trying to do. Well, Thankfully, forces of reason prevailed. Wayne LaPierre kept his reign over the NRA. That's the way the NRA needs to be right now, but President Trump is nonetheless right. This infighting needs to stop, and I can't believe that we're not only talking about coups against our president, we're talking about coups against the NRA, within the NRA itself. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Now, there's one thing that Luke and I missed last week, and I actually have that audio pulled up, but we're just going to skip it in the interest of time because I'm rolling a little bit long. There was a treaty that Obama signed in his last few days of his administration before Trump was inaugurated. It was called the UN Small Arms Treaty, right? And it essentially subjugated Second Amendment rights to control by the NRA, right? The NRA became in control of our Second Amendment. Well, right there, oh, Mr. President, the greatest move ever. Right there in the NRA convention, Trump basically threw a rally like he does everywhere he goes when he gives these types of speeches, except for government political type speeches with huge crowds in the House. He always throws a rally. Well, he had an executive order right there up on the podium that nobody at the NRA knew about that nullified our agreement to the UN Small Arms Treaty. And he signed it right there on stage, threw the pen out to the audience after he had finished signing it. Oh, Mr. President, well done, sir. Well done. Dear listener, go watch the NRA speech. It happened last Friday. Let me think about this. This would be April 26th. Go watch it. It was so fantastic. Sorry, Luke and I missed it. I thought it was just kind of another one of these NRA speech types of things. No. He nullified the UN Small Arms Treaty. Oh, thank you so much, Mr. President. You done good this week, Mr. President. You're doing good. You need to step up on the border a little bit. Everything else is going perfectly. All right. Moving on. Charlottesville judge. Confederate statues are protected war monuments. This story also broke on Tuesday. A judge has ruled that statues of Confederate generals in Charlottesville, Virginia, are protected by state law, which will likely halt any local efforts to remove the monuments, according to reports on the opinion released Tuesday afternoon. Local CBS affiliate WCAV reports that Charlottesville Circuit Judge Richard Moore defies the recent phenomenon of city councils, schools, and other governing bodies removing historical markers to address modern residents who are offended by what they perceive as endorsements of slavery and white supremacy. The judge wrote that he would likely overturn any civil judgment that called for the removal of the statues. In his 9-page ruling, Moore cites the fact that both Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson are depicted in their military uniforms and on horses associated with their time in the Civil War. Quote, I believe that defendants have confused or conflated, number one, what the statues are with, number two, the intentions or motivations of some involved in erecting them, or the impact that they may have on some people and how they might make some people feel, Moore writes, but that does not change what they are. Moore finds the issue to be so clear-cut that, quote, if the matter went to trial on this issue and a jury were to decide that they were not monuments or memorials to veterans of the Civil War, I would have to set such verdict aside as unreasonable. Apparently, there's a Virginia law that says that you cannot tear down war memorials. Man, Judge Moore, way to go. Way to go. This is nothing but white pilling. Dear listener, I don't give a damn who's offended by these memorials. If you look at them, all of them are beautiful. Not like, even if you're a Yankee Northerner, right? If you don't find beauty in these statues, man, there's something wrong with you. The South was completely eradicated, and the North got their way and starved the South to death for 10 years, but I'm not going to get on my soapbox about that. We have been reconstructed. The North won, all right? Like, we've got memorials all over the world for losing battles. This is not some kind of Nazi thing, all right? It's not. These memorials need to stand. History cannot be changed, right? This is 1984, really scary stuff. So let's just don't go there. But anyway, we're going to keep going there and going there and going there. It's never going to stop. Moving on. Last story for the night, last bot. Minneapolis cop Mohamed Noor found guilty of second-degree manslaughter, third-degree murder, and Justine Damon shooting. Just poetry. It goes thus. Marianne Heffernan, stepmother, let me look for it's a thread. It's a Twitter thread. That's why it's so hard to read. Okay. So, do y'all remember that story that happened about a year and a half ago where there was a woman that was complaining about a rape, and she called the cops in Minneapolis about it, right? Well, the cops showed up, and sure enough, a Somali by the name of Mohamed Noor, she approached the car showing her hands, right? She goes to the driver's side window, and she was like, yeah, you know what? I think the rapist is right here around the corner, right? Well, she points her hand down the street, and the passenger cop, Mohamed Noor, busts out his gun and shoots her in the head and kills her. She was a dual citizen, Australian, U.S. citizen. She was due to be married. She was engaged, going to be married in 1 month after that fact. And this cop just straight up kills her, right? Straight up kills her. Well, the Minneapolis police tried to kind of sweep this under the rug, right? They cleaned the car up real fast. They're like, oh, no, nothing happened here. Nothing. It was, perfectly irresponsible. She was threatening the cop, or perfectly responsible. She's threatening the cops, blah, 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 blah. No, that's cold-blooded murder is what it is, right? I'm surprised, in my opinion, that he only got found guilty of second-degree manslaughter and third-degree murder myself, right? I think that's first-degree murder. I think that is Somali terrorism against a white American. That's what I think it is. I think that's killing a white person because you got a badge and you think you can, right? That's a bold statement, and I understand that it is, but I say that for this reason. In Noor's defense, all of the excuses that he gave were so pitiful, so illogical, so insubstantial, right? There's no way that this woman, in like a pair of warm-ups, after she called about a possible rape going on in her neighborhood, was going to attack cops. Are you kidding me? Right? People don't do this, right? It was not some type of entrapment operation going on, right? Anyways, this is nothing but white pilling. It was one of the more black pilling stories that happened in 2018. Yeah, it was about a year and a half ago. And, man, this boy's going downtown, Mohamed Noor, right? And, he'll probably get a sentence of about like 5 to 10 years, something like that. I don't know that he's been serving his time. I'm not sure what's going on with all the details about his sentencing. He's going to be sentenced, I believe, in October of this year, but he going downtown, and this is nothing but good news. All right? Now, I'm going to leave with this little bedtime story, this little fairy tale. We're going to close it out on this white pill right here. Look at everything that I've just told you tonight in all of these spots, okay? With the exception of immigration, there are good things and bad things going on in immigration, right? But Spy Notes / SpyGate is going well. We're winning. Mohamed Noor went downtown. We're winning. Charlottesville judge rules that Confederate statues cannot be torn down in Virginia. We're winning. Deputy AG Rosenstein steps down, resigns. Effective May 11th. That's days from now. We're winning. Donald Trump is settling down the NRA dispute, this coup going on in the NRA, this attempted coup by the deep state to overthrow the NRA. We're winning. Dear listener, enjoy these times. The tide is turning. Believe this, right? So much more is going to be learned. So much stuff is going to go down. We are now at the point, at the turning of the tide, as Gandalf says. We're at the turning of the tide. We're on offense now. We're not on defense anymore. We've been on defense for 50 years. Lick your finger, stick it up in the air, see where the wind is blowing. The wind is blowing in our direction. This is not talking about populism and pragmatism. This is talking about the fact that we're getting real business done. Things are going our way. History is being made right now, and dear listener, we are all a part of it. So enjoy it. Sleep well tonight and be happy, and know that things are finally going our way. What's going to happen? Maybe Hillary's going to get hers. Maybe Bill Clinton will get his. Maybe Valjer, Barack Obama, right? It's turning in such a substantial way. And how do we know it? Because of the left freaking out about William Barr telling the truth yesterday. Oh, what a time. Be happy right now. Be joyous. And when you go to bed tonight, just know the tide has turned. And that's about all I got for Bots, Thoughts, and Drops number 7, dear listener. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I did putting it down. Apologies in advance for the difficulties HSP is going to have in the next couple of episodes, number 37 and number 38, but we're going to work it out. We're going to get the content to you. Thank you so much for listening to Bots. Thank you so much for listening to HSP. We're going to take care of you, dear listener. We're all on this trail together. And go Stars. I've got to say that. Go Stars. Sorry for my partisanship, St. Louis Blues fans. I'm truly sorry, but I don't know, man. That was kind of a nasty game y'all played last night, but you know what happened. All right, dear listener, tune in to us on early next week. We'll get HSP number 37 up for you. Thank you so much for listening. Y'all have a great rest of the week. Be back at you before you know it.